SM artist. Today we're doing a video that's different than what we typically do. Today I want to do a spotlight on an artist that isn't like a big name or anything, but he's done a lot of comic book work. So I'm talking about Steve Scott. So this is him here, and this is a young me. Over here you can see his work, and that right there is my early stuff for the Bull when I was little. So in school, I believe I was in middle school, we had a project where it was like for something to do with career, basically. Try to interview someone who does what you want to do. So I didn't even know that Steve Scott was like an artist or that he even lived in the area, but he lived in Biloxi, Mississippi at the time. He doesn't anymore, but he is a firefighter, and he also drew comics, and he still draws too, but it's kind of sporadic work, I guess. So I got to interview him and ask him questions and all this sort of cool stuff, but this is the picture I have of us together. He is on Instagram and Twitter and all that good stuff. His Instagram is just Steve Scott Art. He's also listed in some comic books as Stephen B. Scott, I believe, if I remember. So I don't remember if I got, this was a newspaper article about him. You can see him at his desk here. And yes, he was a Biloxi firefighter who also drew. So, you know, he's a real life hero drawing superheroes. But, so, here's his Batman he drew. And he drew like a couple issues of Justice League and stuff and different things. And then you see some of his finished product here, and I'll show you in a minute. When I visited him, he gave me a bunch of like stuff to keep, and I had like, you know, your big tri-fold type of board thing, and I taped all these sort of images on it here. So what's cool about this here, I actually did own this issue. This was Wolverine number 138. It's Wolverine versus Galactus, and this was after he had the metal off of his claws. So the premise here is he keeps hacking away at Galactus, and his claws kept breaking off and regrowing. So originally, for the pain too, they had tears in his eyes to illustrate the pain he was in from having to break his claws and regrow them over and over again. But the final product, if you have this issue, they do not have the tears. So this was kind of a cool insight, something secretive that never came to be in the book. But I might throw an image up on the screen of this page here. This is page 16 of 138 of Wolverine. And this was from 1999, I believe. And then he photocopied some other pages. This was another page from it here. I tried to put them all in order as best as I could. And this was cool for me because I hadn't really seen this side of comics at the time. I didn't know about the giant art board or anything like that. So this is another page from it. At the time, the main thing he was working on, they were trying to relaunch the New Warriors here. And this was a special one-shot, and then I think he did the first 4 issues. So I don't have those issues, unfortunately. He signed a copy of the Wolverine one for me, but I don't have that anymore either after, you know, the person sold all my belongings before I moved to Washington without my permission. But here we see some of the pages here, and they are in order. it's still cartoony, but it has a lot of detail. Look at these buildings here. I'm pretty sure none of that was done with a computer or anything. I think he just measured all of that out. I'm always impressed when people do architecture. I can never hack it. So here we see some more here, and we'll do some page sounds a little bit. But yeah, just really cool. I hadn't ever seen anything to this extent. I've seen originals and stuff by this point, but it was nice that he ran copies for all this stuff for me to keep too. Like, he didn't have to do that. And at the time, I don't even think this was officially out yet, so this was like an insider's look at everything. And this is all from issue number 1 of the New Warriors. I wish I had the book to show you the side by side. There's a partial blow up here, just to kind of show you the detail. And then he showed some of the scripting too. Like, this is several pages. This was for Generation X number 50 he did. So this is page 12 here. And you can see here, there's the scripting for it. So, right here it says, cut back to a large shot of an isolated part of the school grounds, far away from the main cluster of buildings. An attractive blonde boy wearing a school uniform runs from a sleek black helicopter that's skimming low to the ground. Cut again to an interior control room where Banshee sits at the computer console. Among all the doodads and what sits on the console should be a row of monitors. One of the monitors should depict the same exact shot as above. Other monitors displaying other school locations, but none of them having anything exciting going on. So they're gonna crop that and put that there. Banshee should be relaxed, his chair tilted back, his feet on the console. He's on the phone and doesn't see the monitor with Tristan on it yet. Closer. In on Sean as he continues his conversation, saying that when he and the Frost sisters decided to expand the school, it was only natural that they expand the facility as well. To that end, they'll want teachers who are mutant sympathizers, and when the position of gym teacher came up, there was only one man Sean recommended for the job. Another shot of Sean. As eyes go wide, he's finally seen the monitor that displays Tristan's plight, which should also be on this shot. He's on the phone, but he's telling Tom that he's about to hang up, and then he drops the phone here. So all that is scripted. So no dialogue here, but just all action and how it was conveyed. And I say he did a pretty good job there. And then, yeah, just more of the same here. Just page after page, and we just get to see insight into the writer here. I think that's the last page. It feels thicker though for me. And then he showed me, well, this is an original pencil thumbnail rough. And I think this is from the New Mutants here. Or New Warriors, rather. It kind of looks like what he was working on in that first issue with the monster and stuff, but I don't know, it's hard to say. And then once again, a close-up from part of the work there. this is a real Marvel art pad here, and it has like the little Strathmore Bristol stamp in the corner, embossed or whatever. But yeah, you can see the Marvel art. So I don't even think now that they actually give you an art board. So it's folded and stuff, but it's whatever. It's still cool because, like I said, this was the first time I realized they used 11 by 17 boards. And I did show him my stuff. And he said that I should go into coloring because my coloring was really unique with the bowl. I had like purple sky and things like that. So, not sure if he was just trying to be nice or not, but because art is hard work, and I'm definitely not a master by any stretch. And here, this picture here was one of the early ones that yeah, this one here is this image here. I want to go back and get these books, but I just thought this would be a nice video. I've been wanting to do this for a little bit, and I was thinking about stuff I had on hand. So this was just a little small wizard insert to promote the book. But I'll show you here, just to give you a taste of the work. And like this stuff is from a previous run, but they're just referencing it. But I feel like even with like how the Wolverine book was colored was different than this. This seems like a lighter color palette. I really think his art stands really well on its own, even without like the color and stuff. But I think that's something when you're into art, like you prefer to see stuff in black and white more than in color, I think. But I just always thought that that was cool, that he was a firefighter, you know, a real life hero who drew superheroes, and he still does. Like I said, I wish he could get more work. Hopefully you guys will check him out. A link to his Instagram below or something. I'm not sure how to do that with Instagram though, but also check out Stephen B. Scott, I believe. But I'll go into reading this article here, since this is a shorter video. So, it says, Biloxi firefighter passionate about his art and comics. For the past 6 years, Steve Scott has put out fires during the day and brought comic book heroes Batman, Wonder Woman, and Green Lantern to life at night. The 32-year-old Biloxi firefighter pencils his comic book characters from an easel at his modest second-floor studio in D'Iberville, locked in a sort of time warp. As a tape of classic broadcast drama, The Shadow, blares over a loudspeaker. I listen to all the old radio programs because they're less distracting than television, he said. You don't have to look up from your board. Scott, one of the only 2 artists in Mississippi who work exclusively on comic books, is busy penciling the JLA Annual 2000 for DC Comics. The Justice League of America, or JLA, is the band of good men and women who vanquish evil forces around the globe. He pores over a script for the issue due on newsstands in June and begins to rough out sketches to illustrate the action that he'll transform into riveting sagas for legions of comic book fans. He reports that the brawn of Superman will be missing from this episode, as his colleagues journey to Turkey during the Ottoman Empire to battle a huge fire monster, a wicked genie. The storyline will introduce a new character called Janissary. At one time, there were about 5 or 6 of us doing this, Scott said. Group editor Dan Raspler at the New York-based DC Comics calls Scott absolutely one of the best artists in the industry. He's incredible. He has a heck of an eye. It is not only drawing, but the ability to bring the script alive. He said Scott has the uncanny ability to instinctively know exactly where to place the comic characters in a particular storyline. It's not every day you get a chance to work with a Biloxi fireman, he said. We're quite fortunate that such a gem as Steve came our way. It is not surprising that Scott is doing just exactly what he wants to do, experiencing the best of all possible worlds, because comic books have always been one of his passions. His comic book collection dates to a 1942 edition of The Spirit. Wow. Since 1994, Scott has drawn for DC Comics and Marvel Comics, the two leading publishers in the industry. It's a long way from when Scott penciled his first 2 comic characters called Grenade and Electrocute. Comics are about storytelling more than just drawing, he said. I'm trying to convey a story in still pictures. For authenticity, Scott thoroughly researches all the locals depicted in whatever comic he is working on. If the writer has the story taking place in Paris or New Orleans, he said, I have to make the scenes convincing. The reader has to feel these events are taking place where they're supposed to be. In the 1940s, the comic book industry was thriving with circulation of millions, but that has been eroded by competition from other media. Back then, comic books were read by everyone, he said, but today, people in general are reading less. Having a firefighter's schedule allows Scott the flexibility to pursue his vocation of creating comic book characters, but there are limitations. If you're doing a monthly, that is all you have time to do, he said. I enjoy working with the fire department because we get to help the public, but my first love is comics. I'm challenged drawing comics. Scott is married to Michelle and is the father of 4 children. Once he retires from the fire department in about 15 years, he plans to draw comics full time. I give my wife credit because what I do is difficult to put up with. Scott said of the long hours he works on comic book projects, but this is something I love and will do until I can no longer hold a pencil. Over here it says Batman remains one of Scott's favorite comic characters. Scott has only the lower portion of the Cape Crusader's face to convey his different emotions. Scott said he feels a duty to properly draw Batman. This picture here. Scott sketches the storyboard that comes to life in comics. This comic features one of the characters he deems to be most difficult to draw, Blastar. This one here. Scott is working on a Justice League of America comic. The story features Batman, the Green Hornet, Aquaman, and Wonder Woman. It will also introduce a new character named Janissary. I'm pretty sure that's supposed to be Green Lantern. I don't think the Green Hornet's in there. And then this picture here. For years, Steve Scott has carefully drawn comic book heroes such as Batman, Aquaman, and Wonder Woman. Here he works on another Batman comic in his D'Iberville studio. Once Scott has drawn the panels, he can get a closer look at his work through a large magnifying glass. Alright. Well, I hope you all enjoyed that. Just gonna make some page noises and stuff here. And like I said, I really appreciate Steve taking the time with me when I was a little guy here to tell me about this job. I wish I remembered or had the questions I asked him still, but It's a long time ago, but I'm glad I kept all the pictures and stuff he gave me. But yeah, and then, giving me the original artboard and stuff. But I hope you all will check them out. And hopefully I'll be able to track down more stuff. If you do a Google search and look on like Comic Vine and stuff, it gives a full list of the work he's done. So, and really check out this Wolverine and see the change there. I thought that was so cool. I do want to point out my video might be posted a little later today. My kids at camp the whole week, so we had to go pick them up. It's about 2 hours out of the day, and we had to get them early. So we had to wake up early so I couldn't record last night or this morning. But then when they came back, we went to meet a Funko Pop YouTuber. He goes by the name of Top Pops. And I met him at the HQ, the Funko HQ today. His mom gave me a nice Top Pops t-shirt for the secret word, which was podcast. They put him on the Funko Funkcast podcast show. So you can check that out. I will also be leaving links to his videos. He's doing like really in-depth videos. He's been in Everett since Wednesday, and he's been doing detailed videos about the HQ and all that stuff every single day. So check those out. And I was able to give him my Funko Loves You 3000 pin just as a thank you. He's a huge Funko guy, so that's why I gave it to him, and he did give me a t-shirt. So that wasn't like a trade-off type of thing. They were gonna give me the shirt anyway, but I was glad I got to give him something. But that's gonna do it for now. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. We're so close to 1,000. Please, guys, if you're not subscribed, please do it. We're so close, and I want to do that giveaway. All those signed comics I want to give out to you guys. Alright, so you all have a super slumber. Thanks. Bye.